happiness, joy, sadness, envy. With this quote, I wish you all a very good morning. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. It gives me immense pleasure to be here in front of you during this 9th session of ITPGRFA. I heartily welcome all the delegates and dignitaries. Indian culture is very popular across the world because of its diversity in the field of art, music, dance. The culture in India varies from place to place. It is said that Indian culture is the most complex and colorful culture on the planet. The way people look, their language, their food, their way of dressing, their music and dance, everything changes every 50 or 100 kilometers in this country. And this is the beauty of our country. Dear ladies and gentlemen, today we'll take you to the eastern part of India, which has rich history and culture. Yes, I'm talking about Odisha. Odisha is called the soul of India. It is known for its culture and heritage. Odisha has the glorious traditions of music. So dear ladies and gentlemen, today morning we have our artist with us and they are going to show you the one of the dance form from Odisha. That is Mayur Bhanj Chhau. Let me tell you about this Mayur Bhanj Chhau. It is a beautiful and potential art form of the world. With a harmonious combination of folk and classical elements, it proclaims its uniqueness. In view of its highly stylized techniques, lucid musics and colorful costume attracts all the kind of viewers. Its fame and popularity has crossed all geographical limitations. In view of its uniqueness as a dance form, the art lovers, artists and scholars take deep interest to know about this dance form, as the dance brings together people from diverse socio-economic backgrounds in a festive and religious spirits. Today, they have come with the concept of Dhwaja Tal. It is basically performed by the youngsters of Tamudia community celebrating spring season. As in Hindu mythology, we start anything by taking the name of God. So firstly, we'll see the invocation through musicians following the performance Dhwaja Tal. Let's enjoy the very famous and popular dance form from Mayur Bhanj Chhau by Yagna Performing Arts presenting Dhwaja Tal.
On now. Every time is on, sir.
Good morning, colleagues. Before we start our morning session, I will give the floor to the Secretary for several announcements. Secretariat.
Good morning, colleagues, distinguished delegates. Two quick announcements. First, on behalf of the host government, again to remind delegates who are interested in going to Agra to visit the Taj Mahal and other cultural sites to please indicate their interests by filling out the form either that was given to you with the invitation to the special dinner, or otherwise you can collect a form at the document desk just at the entrance of the hall. So it's important that they have this information so that they can make the appropriate transportation and refreshment arrangements for those who are going for the trip. The second announcement will be by the Federation of Seed Industries of India. A very brief announcement and gesture that they would like to make in recognition of the role of the international treaty and its system and their own expression of support to the international treaty. So I would like to call on the representative of FSII, the Federation of Seed Industry of India, to please come quickly to make the announcement.
Madam Chair of the governing body, Secretariat and delegates from different countries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all. I am Arvind Kapoor, co-chair of the Federation of Seed Industry of India. Federation of Seed Industry of India is a group of seed companies who are with innovations addressing the issues of Indian farmers, not only the Indian farmers, we also cover the Southeast Asia and Africa. Our industry is spending almost 14% of their turnover in R&D, and our focus is that the farmer should have ease of growing crops, and we give them all solutions. We want, and we are as a stakeholder of this treaty, we wish and we want that all the issues should be addressed at the earliest, because they say everything can wait, not agriculture. So your decisions, if it is effective, and I assure you that seed industry will contribute significantly for the farmers of the world. We have a lot of parent organizations which are contributing to the treaty, and we are happy to announce that the Federation of Seed Industry of India today are contributing money for the treaty, for the savior of the conservation of the gene pool. So we request you to receive our small gesture, and I invite my team members to come. So we are giving 2 million rupees
Thank you very much to the Federation of Seed Industry of India for this generous donation. Thank you so much. Colleagues, let's start our morning session. We will start by looking to the new text received from the Secretariat, and we will just here just to look if the list is projected, how we will go through the documents received. It won't follow the agenda items, but it will follow the resolutions which were ready first, the documents. Are they projected there? But okay. So let's start by the first one, which is the item 16.4.3, related to the report of Norway on the management and operations of the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. This agenda item was discussed yesterday. There was great support. No changes were requested for the draft resolution, which is contained in the document 16.4.3 Rev 1. Given such support for this draft, no L document has been prepared. On this basis, I propose the resolution is approved for final adoption. No reaction from the floor. It is adopted for approval. It is, sorry, approved for adoption. Now we are moving to the resolution on contribution of FAO to the treaty, which can be found in resolution item 15/L1, which has been published and distributed. This agenda item received great support. It is a short resolution and minor changes are shown in the draft resolution. I propose we approve this resolution in block. Spain? No? Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. So this resolution is, sorry, there is a request from Sweden.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, colleagues. We have just two minor suggestions on paragraph 4. The amendment to the activities of, we believe it would be perhaps more, slightly more appropriate to talk about the objectives of the international treaty. So our proposal would be to change the word activities to objectives. And secondly, in paragraph 5, we do feel that it's a bit overburdening the paragraph by beginning with two emphatic words, so we would like to just maintain the word emphasizes and delete the amendment and stresses. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sweden. Is there any object? Okay, Congo.
Merci Madame la Présidente, bonjour à tous. Madame la Présidente, on souhaiterait quand même que les textes soient affichés pour que nous puissions regarder où est-ce qu'on apporte les amendements. Est-ce qu'on peut le faire? Comme ça, on aura quand même une idée fixe de ce que nous sommes en train de faire. Merci Madame.
Thank you, Congo. We will do it for sure, but for these documents, especially, there are only few changes, so we can move on because the documents were distributed and translated, but for sure we'll do it for the other documents that need to be displayed on the screen. Uganda.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Just a little suggestion on number 3. After international treaty, we could insert activities because it appears to be hanging a bit. So that it reads, further invites FAO to integrate the international treaty activities into the implementation of blah, blah, blah.
Thank you, Uganda. Congo.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je réitère ce que j'ai dit avant parce que nous avons quelques problèmes de traduction, de fidélité de traduction des documents. Donc, même le petit anglais que nous connaissons, c'est mieux qu'on affiche le texte, que nous puissions regarder, parce que si nous j'ai le texte en français, est-ce que ce qui est traduit en français, ça reflète ce qui est écrit en anglais? Donc c'est important d'afficher, madame. C'est pour une première fois que je vois qu'on adopte les textes qu'on n'affiche pas, qu'on voit quand même ce qu'il y a. Ça ne poserait aucun problème. Ça ne va pas ouvrir des discussions, mais on voudrait quand même voir ce que nous adoptons. Ce sont des résolutions, madame. Merci.
Merci, le Congo. We are ready. There were only few changes in the text. Are there any objection on the changes? I see no objection from the floor. Congo.
Merci, madame. Je pense que le texte, le paragraphe 4, la modification apportée par notre collègue de la Suède, donc la FAO va appuyer les activités ou les objectifs. C'est les activités qu'on appuie, la mise en œuvre du traité. Comment la FAO peut appuyer les objectifs du traité? Ce sont les activités qu'on appuie. Donc nous sommes pour qu'on maintienne activité. Merci, madame.
Merci, le Congo. Can we get back to Sweden, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, we don't want to prolong the discussion, so we can go along with activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sweden. Can we approve for adoption this document? I see no reaction, so approved. We are moving now to the following text, which is the cooperation with the Commission on the Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture under item 16.1, document /L1. So can we approve this document? No reaction from the floor, so the document is approved for adoption. We are moving now to the resolution on policy guidance to the Global Crop Diversity Trust, which can be found in the resolution item 16.2/L1, which has been published and distributed. This agenda item received agreed support. All changes are shown in the draft resolution. A number of statements were made under this item that belong to the cooperation with international institutions other than the trust and therefore have been integrated into draft resolutions on other agenda items. I don't see here any major changes, and my first proposal is that we approve the resolution. As a block. It is approved for adoption. We are moving to the resolution on compliance, which can be found in resolution item 14/L1, which has been published and distributed. This agenda item received agreed support. All changes are shown in the draft resolution. Most changes are minor, but there are 3 paragraphs, G, K, and L, that relate to the capacity development strategy, which is still under negotiation. My first proposal is to agree all paragraphs in block with the exception of G, K, and L. Uganda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to propose some improvement of text in E. And it would go as follows. We drop everything after invites up to with, and it reads invites contracting parties, and then we drop in their respective regions, so that it continues invites all contracting parties to sensitize and provide information and support. on, and then it continues. I hope I was clear, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Uganda. Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Hago referencia al apéndice del documento 14L1. El GRULAC puede anunciar que confirma la reelección del señor Mahendra Persaud. Por lo tanto, podemos eliminar los corchetes. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. Japan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very minor technical correction, page 2, paragraph 8H. We don't think we need to be very prescriptive on the format of training workshops, so we propose to delete in person. Doesn't involve decision making. We can just leave it flexible. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Congo.
Merci, Madame. Je crois comprendre, quand vous avez introduit, qu'il fallait adopter cette résolution, mais avec les crochets. Si j'ai bien compris, qu'est-ce qui nous empêche de pouvoir discuter puis enlever ces crochets maintenant? Merci.
Merci le Congo. Cette proposition était pour le fait qu'on allait revenir après parce que les autres points sont encore en train d'être négociés. Merci. Norway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Norway just would like to express a preference to keep the language as it was in paragraph E, because we think that it's good to give some guidance about our expectations to the members of the compliance committee, since we just have like two members from each region, that they should in a way have a responsibility to communicate with contracting parties in their region. So I think that was an important message to still keep in E. Thank you.
Thank you, Norway. Uganda, are you okay with this?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. We are very flexible on this matter, but we are looking at the responsibility of undertaking communication is with the contracting parties, not the compliance committee. So we thought that this has to be taken up by the contracting parties, but we are flexible on that.
Thank you, Uganda. Can we approve Argentina? Sorry.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Es para coincidir con Noruega en su lectura de este párrafo. Coincidimos en que obviamente todas las partes contratantes deben involucrarse en la comunicación, pero en este caso particular nos parece que es un llamado en relación a las responsabilidades de los miembros del comité de cumplimiento. Por eso es un pedido específico para ellos, para mantener a las regiones y a todas las partes contratantes, dada su participación específica en este comité, informadas sobre lo que sucede en el comité y la importancia del cumplimiento del tratado. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. United States of America.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of the North America region. As to paragraph E, we support Norway and Argentina and would like to keep the language as previously drafted. On paragraph H, we can be flexible on the inclusion of in person, but regardless, we think that after the words training workshops, we should add the text on compliance, just to make clear, as is done throughout the paragraph, that those workshops would be on compliance as well. With the proposal to move forward on all of paragraphs except J, K, and L, we agree with that approach and thank you for your suggestion there. And then finally on paragraph N, we still don't think it is the role of the Compliance Committee to opine on the conformity of contracting parties' national legislation with the treaty, but we can live with this paragraph as edited in the revised draft. Thank you.
Thank you. United States of America. Congo.
Merci, Madame. Je suis au paragraphe H. Si on peut l'afficher à l'écran. Donc, je remercie le collègue du Japon. Si on ne veut pas être prescriptif, on a supprimé en présentiel. Donc, on devrait supprimer aussi en virtuel. Moi, je pense qu'il est important de maintenir en présentiel parce que pour donner la possibilité au secrétariat de pouvoir aligner cela dans le budget si possible. Parce que si nous ne donnons pas cette orientation, alors il sera difficile que cela apparaisse dans le budget. Voilà ce que je pouvais dire, Madame.
Merci, le Congo. Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to respond on the suggestions related to paragraph E and also N. We agree with the idea. I think what I understood from the representative of Uganda, of course we want to call upon all the contracting parties, but I think the idea here in this paragraph was really that the compliance committee members would function sort of as advocates to their region, really to help the contracting parties to be able to report. And maybe this is already covered under paragraph C. So I would support here also the comments from Norway and Argentina. Then on paragraph N, this has been discussed in our region quite extensively as well. We've made a proposal for additional text so that it would be upon request of the contracting parties itself. It does come back actually in the treaty text. It's literally under paragraph 21. But there seems to be some confusion. What was the idea from the compliance committee was to capture the idea that contracting parties can ask for advice to the compliance committee. So this is the idea what was behind here. But as I said, we've suggested text which is captured here, so it would work for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Netherlands. I'm getting back to Japan. If we can ask for some flexibility to keep this word in person in paragraph H.
We think that we can't really prejudge the conditions of the world. I don't think we're in a pandemic-free world, and we don't want all training workshops to cease. That's the background of my suggestion, that we should not be so prescriptive. We should allow for all sorts of possibilities. If the language mirrors that all sorts of possibilities where activities will not cease, that would be fine to the government of Japan.
Thank you, Japan. Democratic Republic of Congo.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je crois qu'on a la force ce matin. Madame la Présidente, je interviens au point H du document. Quand je prends la version anglaise, il est repris request. Dans la version française, que ce soit H, que ce soit le point I, dans le point H, on prend prie le secrétariat, mais dans le point H, on dit prie, dans le point I, on dit demande. Alors que c'est le même mot qui est utilisé en anglais, je crois que le mot qui est usuel à être utilisé, c'est demander. C'est un verbe d'action. Donc si on ne peut pas traduire dans le même document deux mots différemment. Donc je crois que soit on doit utiliser demande au secrétariat, tel que c'est écrit en version anglaise. Je crois que c'est important. Donc quand on reprend prix, je ne sais pas si le secrétariat est chef d'une église pour qu'on lui demande des prix. Ce n'est pas ça. Je crois qu'on doit prendre demander au secrétariat. Merci.
Merci à la République démocratique du Congo. We will get back to the Secretariat to update this request. I'm getting back to Japan for the word in person. Just to recall that we have the word in person and also virtual. So can we keep this word in the text?
So the training workshops are not the same as training information sessions, correct? I mean, the training workshops could be any format as well. So if we take out both, maybe, but I think we should just keep it open-ended so that we ensure that activities are done whatever medium is possible. So we prefer the deletion. Oh, and also just to also reflect our discussions at the Asia regional meeting is that travel is quite prohibitive from our region, and so we really didn't want to have a very prescriptive format in that regard. Some countries really do have still a very, very tight restrictive policy on travel, so we would like to keep the language as open-ended as possible. Thank you. So we prefer not to have the in-person. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Following this discussion on paragraph H as well, I understand why there are suggestions to change the wording from reporting to compliance, but to explain what the idea behind it was really still actually to support contracting parties to be able to report. Because, well, as we've read in the background documentation, we only have 79 contracting parties that have actually reported, which is an improvement, but the compliance committee at the moment is still really looking into ways that all contracting parties will respond and report. So it's not so much focused yet on going into all the details on compliance, but it really wants to encourage all contracting parties to be able to report. So that was the idea behind the wording in paragraph H. So we would prefer to go back to reporting instead of compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Netherlands. Congo.
Merci Madame la Présidente. Je pense que le binôme qui vient de passer nous a donné une nouvelle façon de regarder les choses et de faire. Aujourd'hui, nous tenons nos sessions en mode hybride, ce que hier n'était pas possible. Donc, nous appelons notre collègue du Japon à comprendre que aujourd'hui, nous sommes obligés de nous adapter à une nouvelle situation qui fait soit qu'on doit tenir des ateliers en présentiel ou en mode virtuel ou en mode hybride. Et au début de cette session, nous l'avons dit. Donc, il faudrait bien qu'on donne au secrétariat cette possibilité parce que il y a une incidence financière par rapport à cela. C'est vrai que les pays de l'Asie connaissent une situation particulière. Elle est générale dans le monde entier. Mais ici, nous sommes en Asie. L'Inde est en Asie. On s'est quand même déplacé, nous sommes venus. Donc, c'est donner cette possibilité au regard de la nouvelle évolution avec le Covid, que cette précision vaut la peine. Parce que l'incidence financière n'est pas la même lorsqu'il s'agit d'organiser des sessions. Si nous maintenons que nous précisons que c'est en présentiel, de l'autre côté, on a mis aussi en virtuel, c'est pour dire c'est s'adapter à la situation de l'époque. Voilà un peu ce que je peux dire. Donc, je sollicite vraiment votre flexibilité, qu'on ne perde pas le temps à discuter des mots. Vraiment, je vous demande de nous rejoindre parce que c'est la nouvelle donne. On doit s'accommoder à la situation actuelle. Merci, Madame.
Merci, le Congo. Can I suggest to keep in person and to add in hybrid? Is this acceptable? Are we okay with this suggestion? Japan?
Madam Chair, I also don't think that we are disagreeing. What Delegate of Congo is saying and what I'm saying is exactly the same underlying purpose. And we really do not want to waste any more time on this, but not having anything in front of it allows for the most flexibility. So I think it's fair to remove all the language on modality and just keep it flexible and let the bodies decide based on the underlying conditions. I think that is the most flexible way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jipan. So we remove in person and we remove virtual. Is this acceptable? These paragraphs are closed, so we will get back to the J, K, and L when we will have the finalization of the negotiation. So we approve this document for adoption, to get back later for final approval and adoption. United States of America.
Thank you, and apologies for coming in late. We just wanted to flag that I think there's still a set of brackets in paragraph H. I think based on the Netherlands pointing out that the point of the paragraph was to provide training on reporting specifically and not compliance more broadly. On that particular point, we can be flexible, but we want to ensure that it's specific, that it is reporting on compliance. So maybe just removing both brackets, and it would say information sessions on compliance reporting. That might be a way to do it. And then you would do the same thing on the on compliance, which is after workshops. It would also be on compliance reporting. A suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, United States of America. Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much, United States, for that suggestion. That was exactly that was going to be our suggestion as well. So then we cover both, so compliance reporting would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Netherlands. Let's move now to the resolution on the funding strategy, which can be found in resolution item 10/L1, which has been published. Sorry, I see Kenya raising hands. Yeah, Kenya.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry for taking you back to H. There is text that is meant to explain the virtual means of convening those training sessions, explained by webinars and so on and so forth. Now that we have removed both in person and the virtual, then that text, I propose that that text also was. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenya. We have eliminated in-person and virtual, not to go into details, so to keep some flexibility for organizing these activities. If there are no objection on that, we can move on. Kenya.
Thank you, Madam Chair, again. Sorry for coming back. If you read the whole of that statement, the webinars and so on and so forth are meant to explain which media, which virtual media to be used. So if we have done away with the person and the virtual, is that the text necessary? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kenya. It has been captured already, so can we move on? We are now at the resolution item 10/L1 related to the implementation of the funding strategy. This agenda item received the great support. All changes are shown in the draft resolution. The resolution has 4 parts and an annex which contains the draft food processing industry strategy. Part 2 has minor changes. Part 3 has no changes, and Part 4 has minor changes. Can we accept the changes without discussion? Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Mi delegación tiene algunas preocupaciones en relación a el párrafo 4. Creo que no es posible aceptar los cambios sin discusión porque los cambios son contradictorios, de hecho. Eventualmente, si levantáramos todos los corchetes, el texto no tendría sentido. Luego, en relación al párrafo 8, mi delegación no puede aceptar los cambios propuestos. Y finalmente teníamos algunas consultas en relación a la propuesta del párrafo 27, que no nos queda muy claro qué es lo que se está proponiendo en relación al desarrollo de una metodología para medir beneficios no monetarios. Como en qué exactamente se estaba pensando no nos queda muy claro. Por lo tanto, en relación al párrafo 4, volviendo a mi comentario inicial, no nos queda claro qué quiere decir en la versión original to support the nexus between biodiversity and climate change. No nos queda muy claro cómo la FAO apoyaría el nexus entre estas dos cuestiones. En todo caso, podría referir a me parece, de hecho, que esta aclaración que está entre comas es innecesaria. Y podría simplemente leer encourages FAO to facilitate the delivery of programs and projects supportive of the implementation of the treaty through its involvement in the GEF, the Green Climate Fund, as appropriate, and to actively contribute to the work of the committee. La referencia a support the relation or nexus between agriculture, biodiversity, and climate change, or biodiversity, climate change, and the achievement of the SDGs me parece innecesaria, es sustantiva, no corresponde a una resolución sobre financiamiento. Por lo tanto, mi propuesta es eliminar el texto que está desde implementation of the treaty hasta Sustainable Development Goals y dejar el resto que sí corresponde a la estrategia de financiamiento. So, if I may, through its involvement in the GEF, so yes, you can take out that because that's the last part of the paragraph. I was not suggesting to add text. You can delete from, or put a bracket, from and to support, so open brackets there, and to support until Sustainable Development Goals. That I would propose to delete. We will probably start an endless discussion on what and how to support the nexus between biodiversity, climate change, SDGs, etc. And this is a funding strategy. We don't need that. And just to say that FAO will be supportive of the implementation in the treaty, in particular through its involvement in the GEF, Green Climate Fund, etc. And I think that that's pretty clear. Then in paragraph 8, my delegation cannot accept to turn this funding committee online. So following the conclusion in the previous agenda item, let's not clarify here the modality. I think that there is a discussion to be done regarding the budgetary implications that is separate, but I think that the addition to should be conducted mostly online is not something that my delegation could accept. And finally, a request for clarification regarding paragraph 27. It's not very clear to me what a methodology for measuring non-monetary benefit sharing would mean. Maybe a methodology to assess, or I don't know, but a method to measure something that sometimes it's difficult to measure per se. It's a bit tricky to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Argentina.
Can we consult each other? Can we?
can we react on the paragraph 4 as it is projected now in the screen first, and then move to the following suggestions? Brazil.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Brazil would like to second all the concerns expressed by the distinguished Argentinian delegate. Regarding paragraph 4, we support the suggestion to delete the part from "and to support" until Sustainable Development Goals. I wonder if I can move on to paragraphs 8 and 27, or if I should wait.
If you could please wait until we arrive to these paragraphs. Thank you. Japan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We can support Argentina's suggestion for a more simplified text. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Democratic Republic of Congo.
Merci, Madame, pour la parole accordée. Je voudrais attirer notre attention que nous sommes à la phase d'adoption de résolution. Ce n'est pas des débats nouveaux qui reprennent. Donc, je crois que le secrétariat doit nous aider. Nous avions tous donné nos amendements, mais ce n'est pas le moment d'ajouter ce qui n'a pas été dit lors des débats généraux. Donc il faudra qu'on s'en tienne à ça, sinon nous allons remodifier tous les textes qui nous sont soumis. Le secrétariat doit nous donner le résumé et les amendements qui ont été donnés. C'est pourquoi nous avions insisté lors de la phase de présentation qu'on prenne note et que les amendements soient déposés au secrétariat, qu'on ne vienne pas ouvrir les débats. Sinon, on va tout chambouler à ce stade. Merci.
Merci à la République démocratique du Congo. Congo.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je vais peut-être essayer d'aider les collègues à trouver un compromis. Bon. La FAO a adopté, le Conseil de la FAO donc a adopté la stratégie relative au changement climatique et à la science et l'innovation. Si on peut reformuler pour dire ceci, encourage la FAO excusez-moi, encourage la FAO de faciliter l'exécution des programmes et projets à l'appui de la mise en œuvre du traité dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre de ces stratégies relatives au changement climatique et à la science et l'innovation. Est-ce que cela peut arranger les choses? Je ne sais pas si Argentine peut accepter cela. C'est juste parce que je me souviens que dans la résolution que nous avons adoptée sur l'appui de la FAO, nous avons tenu compte de cela, notamment au paragraphe, c'est moi que je retrouve mes notes, pour être un peu cohérent, au paragraphe 3 donc, de la résolution que nous avons adoptée concernant la contribution de la FAO à la mise en œuvre du traité, nous avons fait référence donc à ces deux instruments qui ont été adoptés. Est-ce qu'ici, on peut les refléter pour qu'il y ait une certaine cohérence? Merci.
Merci, le Congo. I will call the Secretary to give more explanation on that.
En respuesta a la intervención del señor de Galo de Congo, quisiera llamar la atención que este párrafo se refiere a la colaboración de FAO con el Global Environmental Facility. Es decir, tiene que ver con el apoyo a la ejecución del tratado en el contexto de la cooperación entre la FAO con el Global Environment Facility, y por lo tanto la inclusión de estrategias de la FAO creo que haría bastante compleja la negociación de este párrafo.
Thank you, Secretariat. Congo, êtes-vous d'accord?
Merci Madame la Présidente. Je crois que j'ai tenté seulement pour essayer un peu de accorder les violons. Donc l'explication est claire. Donc ça fait rapport à une autre, peut-être à un autre instrument. Donc c'est aux collègues de l'Argentine de peut-être de réagir. Merci.
Merci le Congo. India.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We want to introduce the new point to the resolution as some development has come in today morning. India welcomes the contribution made by the Federation of the Seed Industry of India to the Benefit Sharing Fund as the first collective contribution from Indian seed sector, and appeals to the other in the seed sector and in the food processing industry to make similar contribution to the treaty. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, India. Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Quisiera reaccionar al comentario de Congo con su permiso.
Yes, Argentina.
Gracias. Mi delegación, en primer lugar, no solicitó introducir nuevo texto, sino que simplemente reaccionó al texto que había sido introducido en esta resolución. Eso en primer lugar. En relación al párrafo 4 en particular, insistimos en que el párrafo logra su objetivo y lee mejor, eliminando lo que en este momento está resaltado, también apoyado por Brasil y por Japón. Creo que va a ser claro que va a haber una relación con clima y biodiversidad, porque si la FAO va a buscar implementar el tratado a través de una participación con el GEF y con el GCF, con el Fondo Mundial para el Medio Ambiente Mundial y con el Fondo Verde para el Clima, obviamente va a abordar cuestiones relativas a pérdida de biodiversidad y a cambio climático. En relación a la propuesta específica de mencionar la estrategia de cambio climático, simplemente me refiero al comentario de la Secretaría de que incluir esta referencia complicaría muchísimo el trabajo. Por lo tanto, creo que queremos hacer simple el trabajo. Acá estamos hablando de poder apoyar más y no de complicarlo, justamente. Así que insistiría en la flexibilidad de las delegaciones, en entender que aquí no estamos pidiendo modificaciones al texto original, simplemente que esto así no funciona, y que sí funciona eliminando lo que ahora tiene dos opciones diferentes entre corchetes, y que fue apoyado también por otras delegaciones. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. Norway.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Norway just would like to express support to the Indian proposal to include, I guess it will be a 15 bis, in also acknowledging the contribution by the Indian Seed Federation. Thank you.
Thank you, Norway. So there is agreement to delete this part of the text. Can I ask the Secretary to do so and move on? So it is approved. Let's move to the paragraph 8. There is a suggestion from Argentina to delete a part of the text as showed in the screen. Brazil.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I said before, we support the concern shown by Argentina, and we might have a suggestion of language based on the text that was presented by co-chairs at the MLS small group. If I can dictate it. Decides that the meetings of and the preparatory work for the funding committee should be supported by virtual meetings and/or consultations, including hybrid meetings, as well as physical meetings which are held in a transparent manner including in a hybrid manner? Including hybrid meetings, I said. As well as physical meetings.
Excuse me, Brazil?
Yes.
Could you just repeat from the beginning and slowly?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Decides that the meetings of and the preparatory work for the funding committee should be supported by virtual meetings and/or informal consultation, and/or consultations, not informal, including hybrid meetings, as well as physical meetings which are held in a transparent manner, while decisions would be made at physical meetings. That is the solution that was preliminarily found for the definition of works on a possible group on the MLS. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Brazil. Japan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The funding committee is a very small group, and during the intersessional period, we worked virtually without any problems at all, including, I think, Brazil. We also don't make decisions. It's really the governing body that makes decisions. So I would say using the Brazilian language, including hybrid meetings as well as physical meetings, as necessary. And then I would say while decisions be made, I think that's not necessary, so we should delete that.
Thank you, Japan. Uganda.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Regarding number 8, we are trying to comprehend whether we are not losing the original gist of this point. When you read it carefully, it appears to have been focusing on where the funds will come from to support the work of the committee. But right now we seem to be focusing more on the process of the committee undertaking its work. I may need some clarification how we are moving forward there. Thank you.
Thank you, Uganda. USA.
Thank you, Chair. I was coming in to say I think we can agree with the proposal that was put forward by Brazil to capture this the multiple methods for conducting the meetings, and also agree with Japan, which I think you've already taken out, that part about decisions being made at physical meetings. I would say when we first moved to the virtual modality, as a member of the committee, we were concerned about taking decisions, but we found that we were able to work quite effectively. And also note that the committee doesn't really decide, they make recommendations for the governing body to take decisions. So that did not end up being an issue during the past intersessional period. I was taking in the last intervention, and I do agree that initially this paragraph was focused more on where the resources would come from, and now it's sort of jumbled with having the ideas of how we do the work and how we fund the work. So I think it might be helpful to split into two. So keeping the new decides that the meetings and preparatory work for the funding committee up to transparent manner would be a paragraph, and then start a new paragraph, further decides that up to XUSD shall be included in the core administrative budget as may be adopted by the governing body. And I think we'd like to keep the clause that's been deleted supplemented by any voluntary contributions made available, because we'd like to keep open the possibility for additional support outside of what's made in the core administrative budget. And then you could keep the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, United States of America. Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. En relación a la propuesta de Brasil enmendada, mi pregunta es, insisto, si tenemos que clarificar cómo será el trabajo, ya que en otras ocasiones no lo clarificamos. En relación a la propuesta de Estados Unidos, creo que ese párrafo es absolutamente necesario. De hecho, mi pregunta, si no lo incluyéramos, es ¿por qué nos estamos apartando de la práctica de este órgano rector, que es, como fue decidido en la 8ª reunión, financiar el trabajo del comité a partir del Core Administrative Budget? Si ustedes revisan, por ejemplo, la decisión 3/2019, párrafo 15, es texto estándar de esta reunión del órgano rector, decidir que los costos de las reuniones y el trabajo preparatorio del comité sean incluidos en el Core Administrative Budget. Y en línea con los Estados Unidos, que puedan ser suplementados por contribuciones adicionales. Por lo tanto, insisto en mantener también ese texto, como señalado por Estados Unidos, que me parece que es estándar y refiere a la forma en la que trabaja el Comité de Financiamiento del Tratado. Mi pregunta con el 8 sería, ¿en qué momento vamos a decidir que la reunión del comité, más allá de los trabajos preparatorios, sea virtual o presencial? Me parece que eso debería ser claro y en todo caso le solicitaría a la Secretaría una explicación de cómo se decidiría en este caso qué reuniones serían virtuales, híbridas o presenciales en relación al párrafo 8 actual. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. At this stage, just to move on, I will call for a small group with the co-chairs of the committee, with Argentina, Uganda, Brazil, and Japan. Thank you very much. Kenya.
Madam Chair, thank you. We should propose that Kenya will also want to join the group.
Yes, okay. Germany.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Allow me please to get briefly to the request for clarification from Argentina on 27, because then it might not need to be taken into the small group. It's about the language in paragraph 27 and the measures, about the measures, develop a methodology for measure non-monetary benefit sharing. This is language taken from the operational plan of the funding committee that had been approved by the governing body, and it's in the terms of references for 23 to develop a methodology to measure non-monetary benefit sharing. So this just to explain the language that had been used here for that addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. I will call the Secretary to provide explanation on that paragraph.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the delegate from Germany was referring, the committee itself has developed an operational plan for how to conduct its work throughout the 5 years period of the funding strategy. As she recalled, the terms of reference of the committee include the question of non-monetary benefit sharing, and in its operational plan under part focus area 3 on monitoring and review, there's a milestone and a series of activities related to non-monetary benefit sharing, including that the committee would agree on a methodology for measuring non-monetary benefit sharing in the year 2023. So the inclusion made in the paragraph 27 refers to that planning that the committee has done. And when the committee would sit down to discuss such methodology, more discussion about actually how and what could be contemplated. If this is enough, we will see if we can move forward with this paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat. Is this explanation satisfactory for the paragraph 27? Argentina? Floor to Argentina, please.
Gracias, señora presidenta, y agradezco a Alemania y a la Secretaría por las explicaciones, en el entendimiento de que es claro que el trabajo que se hará, aunque será un gran desafío, obviamente podemos aceptar la propuesta. Así que retiramos nuestra sugerencia de modificación. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. Can we approve the resolution except for paragraph H, which will be discussed within the small group? United States of America.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to come in to check. We can approve the text of the draft resolution, but we would have comments on some changes that were made in the appendix, if that's going to be addressed as well.
Thank you, United States of America. We will open the discussion now on the appendix. Japan.
Sorry, this is a question. Are we done with the, because we had comments on other paragraphs in the funding strategy resolution, which we haven't tabled because we were focused on certain paragraphs that were tabled by Argentina.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we have comments on paragraph 12 in part 2, resource mobilization. We'd like to delete regularly monitor and, because I think it's very difficult for the committee to operationalize that, and also delete ensuring early involvement of the food processing industry. It's not clear to me how the committee is in a position to ensure that kind of involvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Norway.
Thank you. And could you, the Secretary, kind as well add the 15 bis about also acknowledging the contribution by the Indian Seed Federation? That was announced this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Norway. The Secretariat will proceed with the insertion of the text of 15 bis, as suggested by Norway. Now we are seeking approval of the suggestion of Japan. Argentina.
Gracias, señora Presidenta. Era simplemente para apoyar la sugerencia de Japón en el párrafo 12. No queremos sobrecargar el trabajo del comité en los próximos 10 meses antes del próximo órgano rector con tareas muy difíciles de lograr. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. Are there any comments concerning the other paragraphs of this document? So we are moving now to the appendix on the draft food processing industry engagement strategy. United States of America.
Thank you, Chair. The United States has a comment or an edit, actually, on the insertion that was made in paragraph 26. The second addition there, in particular, nutritious food. We'd like, for clarity, to say instead, in particular, nutrient-dense food. recognizing that all food has nutrition, but just it's a question of how much nutrition or how much nutritional value. So, and then we also have an issue with the first insertion in paragraph 29. I think this addition in this section is unnecessary and would point out that I think the intent is captured under the first principle of the engagement in paragraph 33 under the section principles for engagement 33A demonstrate a clear contribution to the attainment of the treaty, and the SDGs are relevant to the implementation of the treaty. Thanks.
Thank you, United States of America. Are we accepting the suggestion of the USA on paragraph 26? No objection. Then let's move to the suggestion to the paragraph 29. France.
Merci beaucoup de me passer la parole, Madame la Présidente. Nous avions suggéré cet ajout car dans le paragraphe 35 de cette stratégie de mobilisation du secteur privé, il est écrit qu'il faut être vigilant à ce qu'il n'y ait pas de blue-washing ou de green-washing. Et pour des raisons de cohérence, il nous semblait que pour pouvoir garantir qu'on ne tombe pas dans ces problématiques-là, il fallait qu'il y ait des éléments qui puissent être apportés avant qu'on puisse donner une validation, une reconnaissance officielle et formelle des efforts qui sont réalisés par les industries concernées. Merci.
Merci, la France. Ecuador.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Sobre la propuesta en el párrafo 26 de Estados Unidos, tal vez es un poco extraña el texto que propone, tal vez sea mejor en particular los alimentos con alto valor nutritivo. Creo que es mucho más claro que el texto que indicaba Estados Unidos.
Gracias, Ecuador. USA. Thank you very much. So do we agree with the deletion suggested by USA on paragraph 29? So it is approved. Let's move to paragraph 33. If no further comments, we can approve this document. So we approve the text, waiting for the feedback from the small group on the paragraph 8. We are now moving to the resolution on the implementation and operations of multilateral system of access and benefit sharing. You can find in the document in the resolution item 9.1/L1, which has been published and distributed. This agenda item received great support. All changes are shown in the draft resolution. Square brackets remain around paragraph 21 and 22, pending discussion of the GB9 about MLS enhancement, and a reference to GB10 in para 22 also bracketed but could be lifted now if the floor agrees. Germany.
Yeah, I have just a small comment to paragraph 4. There's a little word missing, I think. Exactly where the cursor is now, there needs to be inserted which or that. Why there are contracting parties that have not placed any material in the multilateral system. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Y en relación a este párrafo 4 en particular, nos parece muy importante el análisis que se está proponiendo. Creemos que es importante dar alguna indicación de la fuente de la información. Por lo tanto, al final de la primera frase, que termina con MLS, nos parecía importante incluir based on the compliance reporting, donde se encuentra información sobre los desafíos que las partes se encuentran al respecto. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. Do we accept this proposal? I see Germany.
Thank you. Oops. Well, the compliance reports are obviously a good source to include in this analysis, but we have learned that only very few countries have provided these reports. So a really systematic analysis will not be possible exclusively relying on the compliance reports. So we would prefer not to restrict here the analysis and the work to the compliance reports, but leave it more general as it was before. So we would not support this addition. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. The floor is back to Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta. Y nuestra adición tenía que ver con una duda sobre cuál era la base para realizar este análisis. Nos parecía que los reportes, o al menos desde nuestra propia experiencia, dado que preguntan al respecto, podían ser una buena base. A fin de dar alguna indicación al respecto, tal vez podríamos indicar, basado primariamente, primarily based, o en los reportes. Lo que nos parecía importante es que, si bien es cierto, como señala Alemania, que hay países que todavía no han cumplido con este reporte, sí, hay otros que sí lo han hecho y ya han hecho un ejercicio de poder responder a esto y probablemente lo hagan, y nos parece que eso tendría que también ser una base de la información para este informe. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Argentina. Germany.
Well, we for sure could leave the reference to the compliance report in, because they are important and are important source, and would prefer to say including based on the compliance reports instead of based primarily. So delete primarily and say including based on the compliance reports, because they, as I mentioned, cover not even half of the contracting parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Canada supports the intervention made by Germany and thinks it could be misleading if we restrict this to the compliance reports, given that they are spotty and given also that there are other reports that are very relevant. For example, the reports the country reports made to the FAO Commission on for the World Report on the status of plant genetic resources for food and agriculture have very relevant information that should be considered, and therefore it may be too limited if we limit it or put so much emphasis on the compliance reports in this context. So we also would agree either to soften it, as was proposed, or take it out completely. I also want to remind that we had an additional paragraph in the previous resolution, and we requested input why countries had difficulties to place material in the multilateral system. A short analysis was provided to this governing body, but not at all going into depth. But it would be very important to take that also into consideration, or maybe inquire more in that regard. So our preference would also, then I don't know whether they also want to list here the country reports made to the Commission on Genetic Resources to the status on the plant genetic resource for food and agriculture. But then this gets maybe a little bit too long or too prescriptive. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Canada. India.
Sorry.
Was it a mistake? Can we combine both suggestions and add the word including before the suggestion of Argentina that will read in the, is it projected in the screen, including based on the compliance reporting and reports and the following. Thank you very much. Are there any further comments on the other paragraphs? There are remaining brackets on paragraph 21. Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before going to paragraph 21, Canada would like to make, or on behalf of the North America region, ask a question regarding paragraph 7. It seems unclear to us why you have at the end there this insertion, for example, on the assignment of DOIs. The intervention from our region had expressed concerns that maybe the GLIS has a little bit too much emphasis or a lot of emphasis on the DOI question compared to other important issues. So we have the feeling that this is not it's not helpful to put this emphasis here, and we would suggest to leave this out of this paragraph there. Also to delete this text, for example, on the assignation of DOIs. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Canada. This text was suggested by Africa, so I'm returning back to Africa. Argentina.
Gracias, señora presidenta, y pido su indulgencia, pero mi comentario es todavía sobre el ítem 9.1, párrafo 4, en relación a lo que estábamos analizando sobre el análisis sistemático ahora de las razones, etc. Originalmente este era un pedido de una actualización de un informe y ahora incluye un análisis sistemático y un reporte que tiene que incluir información sobre el estado de colecciones, información sobre el uso del SMTA, etcétera, etcétera. Parece como bastante mayor la tarea, es más bien una pregunta para la Secretaría, y mi pregunta es si va a requerir recursos adicionales la posibilidad de realizar este estudio, y si en todo caso no habría, dado el aumento de la tarea, que incluir una referencia a sujeto a la disponibilidad de recursos. Gracias.
Gracias, Argentina. I will give the floor to the Secretariat for more explanations on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Indeed, this additional work will also need additional resources. So we are also fine with the insertion of the sentence subject to the availability of financial resources.
Thank you, Secretariat. Canada. Floor to Canada, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. Perhaps we support that in text suggestion made by the Secretary. Perhaps it would also be helpful to say expresses verbis that this should be done in cooperation with the Commission on Genetic Resources, because the Commission on Genetic Resources collected all the country reports for the status. In addition, there is a request for a thematic study on the flow of germplasm from and to gene banks that will be finalized pretty soon by the Commission on Genetic Resources. So in order to avoid duplication of work and in order to save funds, it would be appropriate to say here that this should be done in cooperation with the Commission on Genetic Resources. So text inserting that, request the Secretariat, and then in cooperation with the Commission on Genetic Resources, that text insertion may help that. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Is the proposal accepted? Germany.
Yeah, I just wanted to make an additional comment, not specifically on the text, but on the importance to do that systematic survey, because it's extremely important and a key component of the whole enhancement of the multilateral system. And I think this will be one, I expect that this will be one very important work area in the coming years. So I hope that the financial resources will be found to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Let's move now to paragraph 7. Is it okay to delete the sentence there suggested by Canada? Niger.
Bonjour à tous, merci Madame la Présidente. Au nom du groupe Afrique, nous voulons répondre au Canada que nous ne sommes pas d'accord avec la suppression de cette, si on peut l'appeler, phrase. Parce que si on regarde, il y a même un lien entre ce point et le point 4, là où on demande d'étudier pourquoi les pays contractants ne sont pas en train de renverser toutes leurs matériaux phytogénétiques sur le système multilatéral. Et je ne sais pas encore pourquoi de comparer sur l'attribution du...
Pardon, le Niger, pouvez-vous aller plus doucement pour les interprètes? Merci.
Ok, bon, en résumé, j'aimerais dire qu'on ne sait pas à chaque fois si on voulait parler de l'attribution d'identifiants numériques d'objets et le DSI. Les gens pensaient que c'est prématuré. Bon, ça fait longtemps, des années, dont on est en train de penser de ça et il est temps encore vraiment de penser à ce genre de choses. Merci beaucoup. Donc, on retient notre proposition.
Merci. Au Niger. Canada. some flexibility.
It does not work. Yes. Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. It's fully understandable that that how material is, or that part of the functioning of the multilateral system is, of course, to make the information on the material accessible. But as we have said when it comes to the GLIS, it must not be done at accession level through the GLIS. So the treaty is not the place or the GLIS to do that. Therefore, we feel in particular, since we talk here also generally more about the material and the operation of the multilateral system, we feel that the DOIs have not a key role to play in this context. In addition, I want to remind that the use of DOIs is voluntary, right? Many GENMANs that exchange a lot of material that is recorded in the multilateral system, they don't use them. So it's maybe distracting a little bit, and it's a technical detail that I think does not belong here. Because, as the treaty itself says, tracing or tracking on the accession level is not required for the MLS. So it would be misleading, I think, to put this here. This DOI topic belongs actually into the GLIS, but I think it does not belong here to the multilateral system. So therefore, I think it's not helpful to point at that in this context here, and therefore we suggest to remove it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Kenya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we are not in a position as a region for now to make a decision whether to drop it. It's recommended by Canada. There are a few things that we want to understand about the DOI and the role it plays, especially in terms of traceability. And so can we have it for now, please?
Thank you, Kenya. Okay, we will put it in between brackets and we will get back to it later. So we move to... Any other suggestions for the following paragraphs? Let's move to the brackets in the paragraph 21. Can we remove the brackets? Is there any objection to remove the brackets in the paragraph 21? I see no objections, so we are removing them. So we, Canada, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor once more. We suggest to make a slight change to paragraph, I think it's number 19. Yes, because at the very end we put the phrase here, subject to the availability of financial resources, So it, it remains a little bit unclear what this refers to. Maybe it could be read as if it only refers to the activity at the very end. We propose to move it from the end and put it at the beginning. Requests the secretary, subject to the availability of financial resources, and then it continues. Just for making clear that this refers to the entire set of activities. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Canada. We accept this change. The Secretariat just pointed that there is a mention of subject to availability of financial resources in the fourth line of this paragraph. Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now I have to think very quickly, which I'm not so good at, but if it is in the beginning, would that then not be clear that it refers to all activities listed under this point? And given that we have budgetary limitations, that maybe should then take care of everything that is mentioned. In my view, it would be sufficient to have it in the beginning. But I rely a little bit on good English people or colleagues with good command of the English language here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Canada. So we will delete it from the where it was initially in the fourth line of this paragraph. So with that, we have removed the brackets in the paragraph 21, and we approve with only one bracket in the paragraph 7. Thank you. We are moving now to the resolution on celebrating the guardians of crop diversity, which can be found in resolution item 7/L1, which was published and distributed. I request the small informal group to work in that, who worked in that resolution, to make statement. So we have in front of us the result of the work done by the small group, and the changes were reflected. All the changes coming out of the discussion were reflected in the document, and I invite you to approve this resolution if there are no other proposals. Thank you. Uganda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We thank the small group for a job well done. We just have suggestions to improve some of the text. Para 1, 2, 3, 4 propose that it reads in the preamble, sorry. We propose that it reads as follows: noting that an inclusive approach is being considered in the post-2020, then it continues after GBF, we can then drop which is currently under. Akakote. You can drop which is currently under. No, you leave negotiations in. And then on substantive para 6, we are suggesting to change emphasizes to encourages the adoption. We drop the importance. It reads encourages the adoption. And then after framework, we drop when adopted. Those are our proposals. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Uganda. Germany.
Thank you. I have a question for clarification to preambular paragraph 4, the one where Uganda suggested a change. So that's written an inclusive approach. What an inclusive approach to what? That's not clear here, and maybe the group can briefly explain what they mean by an inclusive approach. So I would appreciate some clarification on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Secretariat.
Now? Okay. The title of the theme of this session is Celebrating the Guardians of Crop Diversity Towards an Inclusive Post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. The title and a concept note related to this approach was developed with the Bureau, which set the basis for preparing this document. So the small group that has been working on the resolution really has no say in what the inclusive approach to the post-2020 global biodiversity framework is or isn't. The document provided for this session did go into describing the current negotiations of the post-2020 global biodiversity framework and how one of the aspects being discussed is an inclusive approach, which basically does not only include those direct guardians of biodiversity or curators of biodiversity or those entities from the environment sector dedicated to the conservation of biodiversity, but it's an inclusive approach which includes all sectors of society. There's more information provided in the document that has been prepared for the session about that, and there is more information provided in the texts that are being negotiated under the Convention on Biological Diversity. So hoping that this is a sufficient explanation to be able to decide on these paragraphs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretariat. Are you okay, Germany? Yes, okay, thank you. France.
Merci. Une toute petite remarque éditoriale, paragraphe 6. Il manque un the entre avant implementation. Première ligne. Approach to the implementation. Merci.
Merci, la France. Can we approve the proposition of Uganda? Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could we request Uganda to perhaps explain a little bit what the difference is in the language? The question we would have is whether this, whom do we address here? The members of the governing body, we encourage them to do this adoption, or it's a little bit unclear. If we emphasize the original language, we say, yes, it is important, but now we encourage someone to do something. That's a little bit different, and it's a little bit unclear to me. Perhaps Uganda can explain that a little bit to help how to read this correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Uganda.
In response to Canada's concern, I think the text here clearly points to the efforts of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, and it is in this spirit that we are encouraging the adoption of an inclusive approach. So this points towards the work going on in the Convention on Biological Diversity.
Thank you, Uganda. Are you okay, Canada?
I think we are okay. It's just, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So can we approve the document? No objection. So it is approved. Thank you. We are now moving to the resolution on the implementation of GLIS, which can be found in resolution item 11/L1, which has been published and distributed. All changes are shown here in the draft resolution. I open the floor for comments. I just want to say that we have received a new text from Africa that was not inserted in the text and printed in the printed copies, and I open the floor. I give the floor to Africa to read their text. Kenya.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor. Yeah, indeed, we had proposed this text, and it wasn't captured in the printed copies that was disputed. We had proposed 11 Bs and 11 TAR to be included, and it reads, requests the Secretariat and the Scientific Advisory Committee to engage the administrators of the existing information systems on which the release is based, as specified in Article 17.1, to explore practical ways to ensure the that DSI derived from MLS material can only be accessed by users who have accepted the terms and the conditions of the SMTA, including its limitations on using MLS DSI only for the purpose of the treaty. And then the 11th reads, in the spirit of implementing the treaty in harmony with the CBD, further request the CBD COP15 to develop a global multilateral solution for sharing benefits arising from the use of DSI, and to do so in a way that would also be applicable to DSI originating from MLS material. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kenya. Can we have comments or reaction on the proposal of Africa, Canada? Microphone to Canada, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We thank Africa for this remark or this suggested text. Before responding to that, a question is, we have observed that it used to be common practice that anything that text that is inserted in resolutions should be brought forward during the plenary, so that we know what to expect or what comes, even if it's painful and it takes a lot of time, but it's very helpful for all contracting parties to know exactly which text suggestions may come. Here's another example of a very complex, two very complex paragraphs that appear suddenly, but were not read in plenary to the contracting parties to prepare to that. So it's two questions. Question number one is, what is actually the correct procedure here? Should we not only accept at this point of time things that were clearly said in the plenary, or reflect something that was clearly expressed and where the Secretary needed to find wording to reflect it? So that's number one, what is the procedures are, because we haven't heard this text before. And number two is, regarding this proposal here, should we now really take that into consideration before commenting on the content of it? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. I will give the floor to the Secretary to explain the procedures.
Yes, no. Thank you, Madam Chair. In particular, for this resolution, Africa had sent previously the text, but we have actually not compiled it. So it is also to be noted that many of the changes that are reflected in this resolution were not brought or read in the plenary. So this is why the resolution, the draft resolution was prepared. So I think that at this point, and because also in this session we are running out of interpretation, I think that what we could do is ask if there are any other suggestions for new text, something that have not yet been inserted in the resolution, so we can prepare a new version and bring it back to the plenary.
Thank you, Secretariat. Germany.
Yeah, thank you. And this seems really I appreciate the suggestion that you will give it back. And indeed, before making the statement of the European Union, on behalf of the regional European group, we already had submitted our amendments to the Secretariat, and in your incredible load of work, I guess those have slipped through the cracks as well. So we also had one grammatical correction and two small additions that are not yet reflected in the L1 version of the statement. So we would appreciate if they would be added as well, because they had been presented even in writing to the Secretariat before, even given the statement in the plenary. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. We still have few time, so can you refer to them in the plenary so that we can... Microphone to Germany, please.
Yeah, now it's going. So the first one was just to paragraph 1. There was the missing in front of implementation, so made in the implementation. The second one refers to paragraph 3, and it would be an addition at the end of the paragraph, invites the Secretariat to facilitate the development of further descriptor lists as appropriate. So maybe there could be, after accomplished, a different, not a full stop, no, a comma or something, or a yes. And the last little addition was in paragraph 11, where we suggested that after technical issues, the sentence should continue with, so technical issues related to the conservation and use of PGRFA with, and then you delete off, with relevance to DSI, GSD, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Canada?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we will wait a little bit. It seems to me we will have a small group, so we don't want to comment at this point of time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Canada. It is a good suggestion, so to leave time to the Secretariat to get all the new text, and we will get back again with the new document to the plenary. Thank you. Czech Republic. Microphone to Czech Republic, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thank you for your patience while receiving these additional notes to the draft resolution by the European region. I believe there are one or two more additions that were submitted to you through the email. That was on Tuesday. I was just wondering whether we would need to perhaps now to resend it again so that you could provide the new version of the document, or how would be exactly the procedure now with this agenda item 11. Thank you very much for more clarification on this in this regard.
Thank you, Czech Republic. Yes, please do submit your suggestion. The suggestion is that the Secretariat will prepare a new text and then it will be submitted to a small group to discuss it before getting back to the plenary with the last version. I give the floor to Germany.
Yeah, actually, now it's working. Yeah, thanks to my colleague from the Czech Republic, because I now saw that I forgot turning the pages, one small little addition that we had in paragraph 7. Where it reads data sets, paragraph 7, where it reads publication of data sets to PGRFA material, comma, including by the voluntary use of DOIs, comma. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the suggestion made to resolve what's upcoming here. I'd like to come back to the principal question I asked in the beginning, and that is maybe also for future meetings. I understand now it is acceptable in a governing body session to make a general intervention. In such an intervention, also making text suggestions, but it's not required. You will also accept text suggestions that are submitted to the Secretary as an email attachment and which are not expressed in detail in words to the plenary. That is news to me. I didn't know that from before, and I really would like to have a clear response to that, also that we know how to prepare in future for governing body meetings, because my understanding so far was if things have not been mentioned here in plenary to be changed in the resolution text, then you cannot come up with big surprises at this point of time. Please clarify that, whether there is a strict rule for that or not, or whether it's whether there is flexibility. Please provide guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. I will give the floor to the Secretariat to give more explanation on that.
Hello? Yeah. Thank you Thank you for the question regarding procedure, which I believe is quite pertinent and quite important. I think the delegate from Canada is right in referring of the need of strong procedures, and the strong procedures, the procedure that we use throughout the sessions of the governing body, as the delegate had described, is that you have to read in your statements the changes that you are proposing. But it is very clear from this session that most regional groups have done introductory remarks and then explained that they were going to provide their comments in writing to the Secretariat. So it is not only in this case, we've just approved a number of resolutions in which the delegation had referred to the general concerns or areas in which they wanted to improve the resolutions, but they had not read through their statements. And that practice should not be turned into a regular practice of the governing body, because it would not help the deliberations of the governing body in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Secretariat. I think we are running out of the time of interpretation. I don't know if we still have time. Yes?
So thank you, Madam Chair. So we will prepare a new text. We will also arrange for an informal, a small informal group to meet. We will also arrange for a Zoom link for a virtual meeting to allow also other delegates that are not in the room to participate in this small informal group. And we will also bring a new text back to the plenary after the consultation in the small group.
So it is agreeable. My apologies to the countries who are requesting the floor, just to for some logistic to arrange for the small group. So the small group will be established with Kenya, Canada, US online, Germany, India. Those parties who made comments, Japan. We have to close the session now because we won't have... Oh, okay. Before closing, I will give the floor to the Secretariat.
Regarding the small group on the funding strategy, in discussions with the coaches of the committee, we're calling on members, including which were the names? Japan, Uganda, Kenya, and Argentina to meet the co-chairs at 1:30 in room number 4. Room number 4. Thank you.
There will be the group on farmers' rights discussing this afternoon. We are arranging with the Secretariat. Please remain in the room to have all the information. Thank you.
It's not clear here or there. Can you clarify from Bell? She said that.
In the budget committee. Sorry, the group on farmers' rights, contact group on farmers' rights, will meet in the room, in the courtyard, in the room assigned to Europe. Just for clarification.
Argentina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a question regarding the small group on the agenda item 11 that we were reviewing. It was not clear to us what is the mandate of that small group, what will it discuss, because we were not able to review the full L1, and we have interests in other parts of the documents that were not reviewed now. So if it's the full document that it's going to be reviewed by the small group, then we would like to join. But if it's only the discussion that we had in plenary, that is different. So clarity on that would be useful. Thank you.
Yes, there will be a revision of the entire document. You're welcome to join the group, Argentina.
Yes, as you can see on the screen, the small group on item 6.1 will meet in room 10 after this session, budget committee in room 11, and the contact groups on farmers' rights in courtyard Europe. Thank you.
US?
Thank you, Chair. Can you clarify when we'll be coming back to plenary? Are we going to be coming back at 3 or later?
There will be a plenary this evening, an evening session plenary at 7:30. Thank you very much. We close this morning session.